Hello everybody and welcome back to John's Workshop, and in this video we're going to be doing a Lidl's tool review. So this is a Parkside 12V cordless rotary tool, so a bit like a die grinder for want of a better word. So it's Parkside stuff, it's from Lidl's. I've had quite a bit of Parkside stuff over the years and so far been quite impressed with it. None of it's let me down, it's all been pretty good, especially for the money. So I thought I'd give this a shot. I saw it today in Lidl's, so you'll be seeing this a couple of weeks after I film this, but it's a current product and a current item in Lidl's stores. So depending on how this review goes, you might decide that you want to go and get one or buy one as a Christmas present for somebody else. This isn't a sponsored review. I don't do sponsored reviews in this workshop, so everything I review, which isn't that much stuff, but when I do, it's a thoroughly honest review because it's paid for out of my own pocket, and if it's rubbish I will absolutely say it's rubbish. I predominantly want it for deburring, cutting off, things like that, without a cable. That's what attracted me to this. So I've already got a sort of pencil grinder, die grinder thing, but it's a cable one. I bought it from Woolworths about 25 years ago and it's still going. Doesn't get a lot of use, but I wanted something without the cable and needing to plug it in, so this is completely portable. That's why I got it. We're going to give it a thorough test across a range of things just to see how it performs, and we'll be giving an honest review as we do that. I'll try and cover some of the other things this is capable of doing that aren't engineering based, if you like. So this has got far more applications other than what I've bought it to do. So we'll try and cover some of that off, and at the end of the video we'll give a final verdict and I will say whether I think it's worth the money. So in talking of money, I forgot what I paid, even though it was only today. That's what happens when you get past a certain age, but it was around 20-ish pounds, probably a little bit more than £20 UK. So that's the kind of price that this is on sale for in Lidl's at the moment. So we'll review it against that price point and I'll let you know what I think of it. So without any more waffling, we'll come into the bench and we'll see what you get for your 20-ish pounds. Okay, so what have we got? So this is our cordless rotary tool. It's 12 volts. It comes with a selection of bits and pieces to go in it and a spanner. We'll go through all that in a bit. Adjustable rotation speed between 5,000 and 25,000 revolutions a minute. It's got a spindle lock on it which you use to get your tools in and out of the collets, and it's got a 3-year warranty on it. So yeah, can't really go wrong at 3-year warranty. So first impressions, I have had it out of the box just to charge it for this video. Yeah, there's nothing more on there worth noteworthy. First thing I noticed is it's good quality plastic compared to some of the stuff that you get, and from a design perspective we've got all these small bits and pieces here. We tip this thing upside down and give it a good shake and turn it back the right way up again and everything's where it started. So that's one thing, that's a plus for me, because the amount of times you go into these boxes and every time you go in you're having to rearrange everything because it's all fallen out. That's really good. So the unit itself is here and very simple to operate. On off switch underneath and speed control on the top and spindle lock here. So that's the unit. First thing I'll say about it is a bit of clever design. It's not cylindrical, it's kind of lozenge shaped, which means if you stick it on an uneven surface it's not going to roll away, so that's good. In the hand it feels okay, it's quite chunky. I don't know yet quite what it's going to be like for fine work, but even holding it right at the front here it seems quite well balanced. It's not too sort of heavy at the back wanting to tip up, so we'll try that out in a little bit. And in the box with all the bits and pieces is the obligatory instruction book. I've been through this in detail. It's written well because it's German translated into English, not Chinese translated into English, so well written. It's got the usual bits and pieces. Quite interesting to note it calls out one piece which is called the union nut, which is number 6. So if you go to the, there's a wee picture here, shows you all the numbers. So number 6 is the union nut at the front, which is this piece here that unscrews, and it doesn't make reference to it anywhere else in the instructions, so I don't really know why they numbered that number 6, to be honest. So that's a bit of a miss, but I suspect that is for screwing on some kind of flexible drive to extend this out further. I would imagine that's what that's for. So that's the only thing that I found amiss with the instructions, really, is they've called something out in the part list that they've not referred to later on. Apart from that, there's the usual 10 pages of safety information and a little bit about charging it and maintenance and what to do if it goes wrong. Nothing much more than that in there. Some feeds and speeds, there's some speed suggestions for some of these tools in here. So there's a selection of grinding points, pink and green, a selection of collets, different sizes going from 0.7 of a mil up to 3mm I think, and there's a spare 3mm one in the front of the unit. Some high speed steel drills from 0.7 of a mil up to 3mm, some burrs of different sorts, and a couple of diamond burrs for glass engraving, that kind of thing, and some arbors for cutting discs, and we'll be looking at those in a bit, and a couple of sort of nylon brushes and a wire brush. And then in this little pot here we've got some green and pink grinding wheels and some small cut-off discs, charging cable, spanner, and some very, very mild abrasive, if there is even any abrasive in them, felt pads. So that's what you get in the box for your money. Now the first thing I would suggest is, if you buy one of these, this range of bits here isn't going to last you very long. I don't think, especially the grinding points, you'll quickly wear through 3 or 4, so I would advise you get a bigger kit. Now Parkside do one. I've owned it for quite some time, again from Lidl's, and that's not what this video is about, but a much bigger range and selection of things, and I found that very useful. So all I'm saying is, don't just rely on what comes in the kit, get yourself some more bits and pieces. So what we'll do now is I'm going to get this set up, and we're going to go through a few different materials and try and put it through its paces a little bit and see what we find. Okay, we're over at the vise. So first things first, you should never use anything like this unless you're using something like this. That's the safety bit over, you'll be pleased to hear. So we're going to start with the softest material I could find, and we're going to progressively work up to harder and harder materials as the battery gets less and less powerful, and I think that's probably the fairest way to test this. So this is a bit of plastic tubing, and we're just going to use the cut-off disc to see what it's like at plastic, because some people do work a lot with plastic, so we'll give that a go. So we're going to fire it up. We've got our LED status on there, traffic lights, so we're showing red, orange and green, which means it's fully charged. So we'll put our speed up. It's actually very quiet and there's no vibration coming through it. It's quite nice. Let's see what this does. We'll go a bit faster than that. I know that was only plastic, but no problem at all. Made short work of that. I think I'm most impressed by the lack of vibration coming through the unit. I couldn't really even feel in my hand that it was running, which is quite nice if you're using this for quite some time. There's a thing called vibration white finger, well known in industry when you're using sort of these kind of usually with air tools, but as with electric tools as well, if you're using them for extended period of time, it can affect your circulation in your fingers, and it's quite a nasty, horrible thing. I couldn't feel any vibration at all through this unit, and that took it up to number 3. We'll take it up a bit higher and see if we can feel anything. So that's up to 25,000. It's very quiet and I can't feel any vibration through the unit at all. That's very impressive. Okay, on to the next. Okay, those regular viewers of my channel will know that I don't like bothering dead trees, unless of course it's to keep warm in the winter. But for the purposes of this video, I thought I would just try something. So we're going to carve a leaf. Well, that's showing up on the camera, but I've roughly drawn something there, and all I'm going to do is follow those lines. I've got a different tooling to one that came in the box. So this is a carbide flame burr, which I think is a much better shape for wood. So again, that wasn't in the box. This is something I've got, but I'm not really testing the tooling out. I'm testing the unit itself out. So we'll give that a go and see what it feels like. And that's why I don't like bothering wood. But this wasn't about the final thing, this was about what that felt like to use. I mean, obviously if I was doing this properly, I'd have this thing set up in a vise, not holding it with one hand and free-handing with the other. Not the best way to do it, but even doing that, I found that quite controllable. Obviously this is just nasty old pine, got really coarse grain in it, so the thing was skipping about a little bit, which you would expect. That's got nothing to do with the tool itself, but in terms of trying to hold it down at this front end and do something a little bit more delicate with it, it's actually quite well balanced. It's not too back heavy with all the battery weight and the motor at the back. It's usable, I would say. I wouldn't want to do this kind of thing just because I don't like doing that kind of thing more than anything, but I'd certainly be comfortable holding this for probably a full battery's duration to do something a bit more fine. And I just found another thing that was useful. This thing stands up on its end when you're done with it, so that's another good thing. The bottom's completely flat, which means it stands up on its end. On with the next. Okay, next we've got a rusty old machine screw. What I've done is put the wire brush that came with the kit in the unit, and these things normally are a really good test of imbalance, because these are normally not balanced very well at all. So we're going to run that, and we're just going to try and take some of this rust off. I'm not going to mess about too much. We'll try and take a bit of this paint off just to get an idea for somebody who wants to use that in that kind of application. Again, this is more about what the tools like to use than the actual end tool itself, so we'll give that a try. So it's taken all the rust off that shank of that screw, it's stripped the paint off. I mean, this is probably only brass, so not really using that. You wouldn't want to do that normally, but it works okay. Bit more vibration in the unit, but not too bad. So we'll put the cutting disc back in and we'll try and chop a bit of this off and see what that's like. Okay, we're probably taking this beyond its capabilities a bit here, but we're going to try and chop the end of this. This is a high tensile cap head bolt, so it's not some softish metal. This is decent quality stuff. I've got the same cutting disc in that we had in earlier, and we'll give it a whirl. Well, there we go. A bit out of range for what this is designed to do, I think, but I wanted to, if this is something that you've chucked in your car, or you're working on site or something, I mean, anybody who's doing this as a living wouldn't use one of these. They'd have a professional one, but this could get you out of trouble in a on-field, away from home situation, to do something a bit over and above probably what it's designed to do. And that took a while, but it's got its way through, and there's still quite a lot of that cutting disc left. That's the same cutting disc all the way through, so it will do it. On with the next. Okay, so we're getting a bit more into the territory that I want this unit for. So this is a piece of high-speed steel. It's a cutting tool, as was. I think it was a reamer by the looks of it, and it's been made into some kind of chamfering tool at some time. But sometimes when you're grinding high-speed steel on an offhand grinder for a form tool or something like that, and you want to pop a radius in, sometimes it's easier to use something like this than it is to try and grind it on your grinding wheel, like I've got just in the outer shot, or maybe just in shot here. So we're just going to put one of the pink stones in that came with the unit, and we're just going to see what that's like. So that stone's horrendously out of balance. Not very good. Not very impressed with that. But it's grinding. It's done the job with a probably slightly better quality grind point. You can see where I've dug into there. You could be forming radiuses in form tools, things like that. And this, it's high-speed steel, so it's hard stuff, and it's ground into that. No problem at all. So let's get on to the next piece. Okay, we're on to something a bit more like what I've bought this for. So we've got a piece of 10mm steel plate, and we've got our carbide flame burr back in, and we're just going to play around. Imagine we want to dig some material out of somewhere, or make a whatever it is, a radius or something, I don't know, whatever. There's a million different uses, deburring, whatever, so we're just going to try it out and see how it goes. So a bit grabby, but that could be this burr's really old. It wasn't new when I bought it. It's a little bit grabby, better at slow speed with steel than it is at fast speed, but I wanted it on fast speed to just really dig in hard and push in hard, and you can see I've put at least 4 or 5 mil cut into the corner there, and I was really pushing it far harder than you would ever push something like this. I was doing that deliberately just because I wanted to see how it would perform, but on slow speed it seems much better, more controllable. It certainly cuts. I need to play around with it a bit and find the best way of using it. So I've done all of that on that same charge. I've turned it back on, you can see there, still got 3 lights, so battery's not gone anywhere during all of that abuse. So we'll move back to the bench. I think I'm probably done putting this through its paces. I think I've tried it on a fair range of things there, and we'll sum up what we think of it. Okay, so what's the verdict? For the money, I don't think you can go wrong. It's my thoughts on this. It's not brilliant, it's not a high quality tool, it's a little bit bouncy. I don't know whether that's spindle bearings or whether it's me using blunt tooling, but certainly when I was putting it under a lot of grief with the flame burr on steel, it was a bit hard to control. But that, as I said, may just be the tool. In terms of the battery, in terms of its power for a small 12 volt unit, really impressed with that. In terms of its dexterity, if you want to call it that, and its balance to use for real fine work, almost holding it like a pen, very impressed. When I first saw this thing I thought it was going to be a bit unwieldy, but it's really well balanced. If you were engraving glass or engraving wood, if you knew what you were doing with that kind of thing, I think that would work quite well. So for a hobbyist at home, I think that would be quite a useful tool. 3-year warranty on it, so even if you're using it every day for a year and it burns out, you just take it back and get your money back and get another one. You know, you really can't go wrong. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. As I said before, I think some of the tooling's a bit pants. The grindstones aren't very well set on the shafts, so they're a bit wobbly. You know, it's cheap gear, you can't expect too much, but overall it's a handy little thing, and I'm going to try and use it around the workshop when I need to. I don't know what more to say. I think I'll put it through its paces. Would I recommend you buy one? Yep, that's what I would say. I would say if they're in Lidl's and you've got a workshop or you're a hobbyist, go and get yourself one, would be my thoughts. So we'll come back to the board and we'll close this video out. Well, there we go. That gets us to the end of this review of the Parkside 12 volt cordless rotary tool from Lidl. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I think I've tried my best to put it through its paces and to cover a range of uses for the home hobbyist or engineering workshop or whatever. I think I've driven it harder than it should be driven, just to see what it was like. I think there's a bit of learning to do with it. As I said, would I recommend buying one? Can't go wrong for £20 odd, you really can't. Even if you chuck it in the back of the car and it gets you out of trouble once, it's earned its money. So I would say get one. Parkside stuff's good, I'm impressed with it, and you can always take it back to Lidl's and get your money back if it breaks. It's as simple as that. What's not to like? So it's a very handy kit. There's some good design features. There's some other bits of it that reflect the price point that it's sold at, I guess is the fairest way to put it. But overall, on balance, I would recommend it based on what I've done with it just now. So that's it. Hope you've enjoyed that. If anybody wants to buy the leaf, I'll sign it and I'll put it up for sort of £1,000 or something if anyone's interested. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to the new subscribers that have come along and those that I might have just lost, and we'll catch you all very soon on another video when we'll be making something else.